Recording. Y'all jump in if y'all got questions. Can y'all hopefully see my spreadsheet? Okay, so I'm going to go over here far to the right. The reason I'm going far to the right is because we got a lot of stuff I need to put in the middle. So I want to highlight these. I'm going to change this format to number, change it to 4 digits. There we go. All right, mean, median, mode, range, mid-range, variance, and standard deviation. Now I'm also going to color them green. I'm going to color this one green. I'm going to color this one green. And I'm going to color this one green. What do all three of those have in common? You're not going to say start with M? That's what yesterday's class says. They all start with M. You can go ahead and say that if you want to, but that's not what I'm looking for. And I heard somebody mumble something, so I'm going to ask again. What do those three things have in common? They all are representative of the middle, of the center. They're all calculated different ways. Okay? They all, if your data is kind of tight, if they're all in the middle, or not all in the middle, if they're all about the same number, then that means you don't have a lot of outliers or unusual numbers in the group. So let's go ahead and do the summation of, no sneezing in class, divided by, I think, 7. There we go. And there is your mean. Let me go ahead and put in a couple of columns here. There we go. This is n is equal to 7. And the only reason I'm doing this, I'm not trying to insult your intelligence, but we're going to be using variables and formulas in the next couple of days, which means today and Tuesday. So you're going to have to know which one's n and which one's x, okay? And each one of these are your x's. So my first column, well, I've got to wait until we finish. Okay, sorry. Median. Since n is odd, you just pick the what? The middle number. So you need to write that down if I didn't tell you that the other day. If n is odd, which 7 is odd, then you just pick the middle number. If n is even, you have to take the average of the two middle numbers. So you might want to write that down. Again, I can't remember. I think I told y'all that, but I'm making sure I'm going over it twice. Mode. The number that shows up the what? Most. I don't see any. So do we put 0? No. Because you're always going to have some smart aleck teacher go, well, 0 is not really in the data set, so this is wrong. So you always put a word unless you have a number, unless you have one. Put none, nairn, not applicable, does not exist, there ain't one, there ain't nairn, whatever you want to put. Do not put 0. Range. What is the range? Somebody tell me. What? No, not the answer. What's the formula for the range?
Highest minus lowest.
Good, thank you. And I could understand you. Wow. I didn't have to ask you to speak up. Thank you. All right, highest minus, oh, I didn't put these in order. Crap. Usually they're in order. I'm sorry. So let me fix this. Data. Always put your data in order. No, I do not want to continue. Just there. All right, make sure they're in order. Sorry about that. Usually they're in order. I guess they're changing their questions around a little bit. Mid-range, that's the average of the highest and the what? Lowest. Highest plus the lowest doesn't matter because addition is commutative, so it doesn't matter which one you type in first. And there is the mid-range. Now the variance. I don't know if I put the variance formula on the board for you, so I will do it now. If this board, this old software will cooperate. The variance is equal to the summation of x minus x bar quantity squared over n minus 1. Did I give y'all that the other day? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Now, what is the relationship between the variance and the standard deviation? Good job. Standard deviation is equal to the square root of the variance, or the variance raised to the second power. The 1/2 power. So remember that. So now we got to do that. So let's read the formula step by step. Now I'm going to take my handy dandy highlighter, and you got to start with what first? The parentheses, right? So here is the first step. So I'm going to take my handy dandy highlighter. Hold on a minute. I got to deal with the old software. Do you want me to clear the screen? No. And I click, in the future, do not show me this. And it does it every single time. So I'm going to name this right here, I'm going to highlight it yellow. And that's going to be x minus x bar. So what am I going to do with each one of my x's? I'm going to subtract what? Thank you for reading the formula. Thank you. The rest of the class is sitting there going, huh? X minus X bar. Now, if you are a spreadsheet guru, you know that if you copy this down, it's going to copy these down for P3, and then it's going to ask for P4, and then P5. So you have to lock it. So I'm going to lock P3 by hitting Foxtrot 4, F4. For those that know what I'm talking about, write that in your notes. For those that have no idea, take CPT 170 and learn how to use Excel. Because Excel and PowerPoint are two of the things that you're going to see in the real world that some of you don't have a clue about. Enter. And I'm going to copy that down. Now, a lot of you are saying, well, why is he carrying it 4 digits? Well, I usually do that on my spreadsheet because the directions will always ask for you to round to the 100th, usually, or the 10th. So I always carry my calculations to the 4th digit. When are you supposed to round in mathematics and science? Right before you type in the answer. In other words, you're not supposed to round during the calculation. Some of y'all do that. Okay? Y'all not in here, but y'all as students in general, some of y'all will kind of do that in the middle of the, you can't do that. All right, so we just did x minus x bar. Now what do we do? Not add them together. Got to square it first. That's what I usually show. So I'm going to highlight my handy dandy. We'll use magenta. Y'all with me? And we're going to call this magenta. There we go. So I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to take my handy dandy. In the future, do not show this. And I'm going to put it right here. and we're going to color that magenta. And I don't have one, so I need to find one. Not good enough for government work. And we're going to call this parentheses x minus x bar. And yes, you probably could add it up and then square it, but I don't think that's going to be the same thing. I think that's going to be a bigger number. I'm pretty sure it will be. Squared. And go ahead and do that with your notes. Now again, I'm doing this a couple of 3 times because I want to make sure you have at least 2 or 3 representations of this problem in your notes. So that way you won't screw it up on the test. And of course, some of y'all on the calculator drill team in high school, you'll use your calculator and wonder why you can't make change. All right, so I just did that part. Now I'm going to take my handy dandy highlighter and I'm going to use Verde. And what does that funky E mean? You said it a while ago. What does that mean? You said it a while ago over here. You add them all what? Add them all up. So I'm going to take, in the future, do not show me this. I'm going to put it right here, and I'm going to color that Verde. And summation, and add them all up. And right there in green is your numerator for your variance. Now, of course, I'm going to show you how to do it on 3 or 4 different other ways, but you need to be able to do by hand at least 2 or 3 problems. Okay, so when you're doing, and I do not suggest doing the ones in the homework. Don't do the ones in the homework that have 50. Just do that on the calculator, or that takes too long, really. The best thing to do is send it to the Excel spreadsheet or statcrunch and do it that way, unless you just like whips and chains. And if you like the pain of doing it with 50, then knock yourself out, okay? But I'm going to show you how to do with the Excel spreadsheet, and you can go into more functions. I want to show you this right quick. You can go right here. Well, hold on a second. Let me get rid of a couple of more. I'm going to get rid of all my dadgum rows. Complete. And I'm going to move this over. I'm going to put right here. I'm going to go ahead and go down here, and I'm going to say more functions, and I'm going to type in S. Well, it should go to standard deviation. There it is. And you can actually do that and click on here and hit enter and hit enter, and there's a standard deviation. If I want to find the variance from the standard deviation, I raise that to the not 1/2 power, but to the what? To the 2nd power. And there's my variance. So you can actually do things a whole lot quicker. In the good thing about the data table with the Excel spreadsheet, you don't have to do all the what. You don't have to punch in all the numbers. And with your calculator, that takes more time. So over here, I'm going to take my handy dandy variance and my number there divided by, I'm going to do the denominator for y'all, 6. There we go. And how did I get 6? Look at the formula, n minus 1. There are times that I'm sitting in class and I go, okay, the denominator is 6, and I get somebody ask me, how'd you get 6? Read the what? Read the formula. There it is. Now we're going to take the square root of that, equals this number raised to the 1/2 power, and it should be 8.83. And you feel good about yourself. Question, gripe, complaint. Now, what is the standard deviation? The standard deviation is another word for the spread. Okay? Standard deviation is another word for the spread. I don't know why I'm getting, why is it doing that? Okay, well, I'll just bring it down to the 100th then. Oh, how did it go to 14? I'm telling you, they're infiltrating. There we go. All right, spread. And that's coming up. I deleted that. There we go. The spread, meaning what kind of spread do you have? Now, this is where we get into the empirical rule. And I don't know if I showed y'all this the other day, but I'm showing it to you now. I think it's on page 32. If anybody got a book, I don't know if it's 32 or not. Somebody needs to look in the index and look for the empirical rule and tell me what page it's on. Or somebody look on page 32 or 132. I can't remember. Is it on 32 or 132? It should say empirical rule. Oh yeah, I told y'all not to buy a book, didn't I? I told you not to buy a book, didn't I? No, I didn't tell you not to buy a book. I told you what kind of books to bring to class. I didn't tell you not to bring a book. Did anybody look on 32 or 132? Is it on there? Okay, so empirical rule is on page 32 or 132. Which one?
132.
132. Page 132. And I got an email question on this, and I don't know if it's from this class or the other class, but here we go. What is the empirical rule? Empirical rule is a standardized normal curve that basically tells you how the numbers should fall. Okay? The median, the mean goes in the middle, 265. And then you add the standard deviations on the right and you subtract them on the left. So get your handy dandy calculator out. I'm not going to do the decimals. That's going to be 9. I'm going to add 9. But you need, for homework and test, you have to add 8.83. But I'm not going to do that. So 9 will be 270 what? 274 plus 9 would be what? 283 plus 9 would be what? 292? Y'all check my math because I suck at math. All right, 265 minus 9 is going to be 250 what? 256. 240 what? 7 and thank you, 238. Now I went 3 standard deviations because that's what I usually do. Okay? Some books only go 2 standard deviations, but most books now go 3 standard deviations. But I don't know, it all depends on whoever. Okay? 38%, 38%, 13.5, 13.5, 2.35, 2.35, 0.15, 0.15. Okay? And yes, all this should be memory because you're going to be drawing this for the rest of the semester. Except for the probability section, you're going to be drawing this every single problem. So if you want to suck at probability and statistics, just don't learn this, and that'll help you tremendously to fail the class. Now let's talk about the standard deviations. From the negative second standard deviation to the positive second standard deviation. is 95%. If you add up those numbers, you're going to get 95. And 95%, as my daughter used to say when she was really young, is normal. What is normal? Not unusual. Put not unusual because in some books, they will not say normal. They will not say normal. They will say not unusual. Yes, sir.
What are the numbers on the very end set?
2.35 and 0.15. Like I say, it's on page 132. Oh yeah, I told y'all not to bring the book. I'm sorry. I'm sure y'all told the people at the bookstore that I told you not to buy a book. Didn't you? Nobody's gonna say anything? Is today not Talk to Hubert Day or what? Is that what it is? Y'all suck. Then what's not normal? Unusual. Unusual is going to fall between the second and third standard deviation. And that's going to be unusual. The word that corresponds with not unusual is not normal. And then what's outside of unusual? That's your Michael Jordans or your Tiger Woods or your Jack Nicholsons or your Peyton Mannings or your Tom Brady's. You know, that's what you call what? Outliers. Your 6-foot second grader. Okay? That's your outliers. So when you get outside that number, so outside 292, you're dealing with outliers. Now you can also find outliers with the interquartile range, which we're going to get to that later, okay, here in a few minutes. Question, gripe, complaint. That's the empirical rule. Now the reason you need to memorize the empirical rule is because you're going to be doing judgments in chapter 7, 8, 9, and 10 about the z-scores. And you're going to be doing common sense answer versus the answer, so that way your calculator don't spit out an answer, you write it down on the test, not use common sense and get the problem wrong. So the empirical rule can give you a common sense answer so you can check your math in chapter 7, 8, 9, 10. Everybody with me? So that's why you need to have it. Now again, if you don't want to, pass, then don't learn it. Now, 5-number summary. Now we've only got 7 numbers, but I'm going to go ahead and do the 5-number summary just because you're going to be getting those questions, so I'm going to go ahead and do it. And then after we finish the 5-number summary, I'm going to go through and show you how to do this on your calculator. So with that being said, let me go ahead and first of all say, do not show in the future. There we go. And let me bring this down a little bit so everybody can see all my numbers. Okay, bring this down a little bit. Oh yeah, I forgot. I got the whole thing highlighted. There we go. Okay, the 5-number summary, and I'll put it, run out of room, so I'm going to put it down here. No, I ain't got enough room. I'll have to put it right here. 5-number summary consists of the mean, max, the first quartile, the second quartile, and the third quartile. Now the mean is going to be real simple. The mean is your lowest what? number. And oh, most of y'all can figure out that the max is your highest number. So the second quartile is the what? The median. Write that down. The second quartile is the median. Now these are also called, this is also called the 25th percentile. This is also called the 50th percentile. And this is called, take a guess, the 75th percentile. So you've got the first quartile, the second quartile, the third quartile, and then you also call those the 25th percentile, the 50th percentile, and the 75th percentile. And the 50th percentile is always your median. Remember, I told you that the three in green were three different representations of the center. So in the empirical rule, you use the mean. In the 5-number summary, you use the median. On a number line, write this down. On a number line, you use the what? The mid-range. And you see, all this ties in together. This isn't difficult concepts. It's just the way it's presented most of the time. And that's why I don't present it in parts. I present it all at one time because you can see where everything fits. So, how do we get the first quartile? Well, how many numbers are above 264? 3, right? And is 3 odd or even? So get the median. The median of the top half is 258. The median of the bottom half is what? What if you had 4 numbers on top and bottom? What would you have to do? Find the 2 middle and take the average. Just like you're finding the median of the top and the median of the bottom half. So, our first quartile, I'll color that. Hold on. I got to tell it not to do it in the future. So I will color that number. Dang old blue. Now that's equal to that number right there. And then I'll color this one, that aqua blue. There's your 5-number summary. Now what the heck are you supposed to do with it? Draw a box plot. Okay, so we're going to draw a box plot. I'm going to erase the formulas here, so I'll have enough room. Now, how do you draw a box plot? Well, the first step to drawing a box plot is draw the number line. So put Roman numeral 1, number line. Number line is consist of the mean, the mid-range, and the max. That's your number line. So these 3 right here make up the number line. Now, this isn't rocket science, okay? So you don't have to have everything to the 100th power. you're drawing a box on the number line. Does it have to be to the 1,000th? No. Whole numbers are fine. So I'm going to put 255 down here and 282 up here. And in the middle, 269. Step 2, graduate the number line. What does graduate mean? Graduated beaker, graduated dang old glass. What is a graduated beaker in science? Y'all don't know what a graduated beaker is. What is it? Thank you. Golly, y'all can't. These people. Yes, you put lines on the number line. How do you do that? Find the mid-range of 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 the mid-range. It's called interpolation. Interpolation. That's what it's called. You can look it up. It's an actual word. It's where you find the middle of the middle of the middle of the middle of the middle. And eventually, you can find any number you want. Okay? It's used in topography a lot. Forget it. So, somebody take 255 plus 270, that's 15, right? Half of 15 is 7. 7 plus 7 from 269 is 262. Oh my God, you used 270. It doesn't matter. All you're doing is trying to graduate your number line so you can plot a box on it. So it really, if you want to carry it to the 1,000th, knock yourself out. But I'm not going to do that. 270 to 282 is 12. Half of 12 is what? Dang old 6. 6 from 282 is 276. Somewhere around there. And I'm going to take one more step. Okay? 255 to 262 is what? 7? Somebody help me out there. 7. Half of 7 is 3. 258. 262 to 269 is what? 7. Half of 7 is 3. 265. 269 to 276 is 7. Half of 7 is 3. That's 270 what? 2? Y'all see what I'm doing? Good. Half of 6, 279. Now, I have just used my mid-range, my min, and my max. Now, 3, plot your box. And what's the only 3 numbers left? The first, second, third quartile. That's called, anybody know what that's called? The interquartile range. Write that down. IQR. The interquartile range. You can make, when you're drinking out with friends, you can impress them and call it the interquartile range. It's a box plot. It's the first, second, and third quartiles. All right? So I'm going to take my handy dandy light blue marker, if I have one. I'll use this light blue, and I'm going to do 258. And I'm going to take my blue, deep blue marker, and 268. Is this rocket science? No. Is it got to be right on the, no. Because what you're doing is you're trying to see where the numbers actually, is it normal or is it skewed left or skewed right? And the middle, yellow. For those of y'all from around here, that's yeller. Yeller is 264. Now where is, everything is dependent upon the what? The center, right? Everything in statistics is determined based on the center. So, not the center, okay? Center, all right? I'm not preaching in here. And the box plot looks like that. So it looks like to me, if I was to draw a curve here, Looks like to me that most of the data is on what side? The left side. So on the left side, that means it's skewed what?
Right.
So the data is skewed right. If you was to predict a number, say like I come up with a number like 272. Is 272 normal? Yes, 272 is normal because it falls where? Right here. This is, if you pull out numbers, where is it going to fall here? This is saying that the data that you have is skewed right. This doesn't pertain to any numbers you pull in the future. This just pertains to the data that you have what? Now. If I pull out a number like 280, where's 280 going to fall? 280 is going to fall in the normal area. That's numbers that I pull after I've done the math. This is numbers, you don't pull numbers after this. This is what you have. Capiche? Yes, Hubert, we understand. No, Hubert, we don't understand. I'm still trying to decide, Hubert. Oh, okay, class. Now, what do you do if you want to use the other? Well, hold on a second. Let's go back to the problem. I don't want to erase this, but let's leave it on there for at least, 5 seconds there. Wait a minute. Make it go away. There we go. So you can see it. But anyway, I'm going to erase it now. All right, so now you hit open in statcrunch. And now you hit stat, write this down, summary stat, column. Stat, summary stat, column, hit the column you want to do, and hit compute. Makes you appreciate technology, doesn't it? Now, there's some things it won't give you. And if it doesn't give you that, then you have to find it. Now, I'm also going to show you how to do it on the handy-dandy calculator. I need to hurry before some of y'all start convulsing. So let's go through that again just for the video for the one person that's going to watch it. All right, so hit stat, summary stat, columns, and here's the important part, because most of y'all are going to click on compute and it's going to say that, and then you're going to get mad at me because you didn't follow directions. You got to click on the header for whichever column that you want to do. Some of them are going to have multiple columns, and you got to click on which one you want, then hit compute. Now, you could probably add or subtract things, but the mean, the standard deviation, the median, the range, and the interquartile range should give you more than that. Okay, you have the median. Okay, there's the second. There's the first quartile range. There's the second, the median, and there's the third, and there's your min and max. I got it kind of out of order, but y'all can deal with it, right? Now let's go to the handy-dandy calculator. And I'm going to pull up the handy-dandy calculator. Hopefully it will work. And notice I'm showing you how to use technology. Did you notice that? I'm not telling you not to use technology. Just don't expect to be able to make change if you use a calculator to take the square root of 25. If you take the calculator to add 14 plus 9, then somebody's going to make a fool out of you in the real world. You've got to use what's between your ears for what it's used for. You use the calculator to speed up things that Rain Man does, okay? The stuff that 98% of us cannot do in our head, okay? You ever seen the movie Rain Man? No, you haven't, because y'all's parents suck. No, I'm kidding. Y'all seen Rain Man? You've seen it?
Yeah.
Wow, you're the one. Okay. But Rain Man is he autistic? autistic,
Yeah,
right?
autism.
And yeah, and he can do calculations, and it's a true story. The guy actually, I don't know if he's still living or not, but you could throw down 2 boxes of toothpicks, and he could tell you exactly how many within seconds, or how many was on the floor. Just really astounding and a lot of people say that some autism is using, the reason they're so weird, and I use that loosely, is because they're using more of their brain than we are. We use 10%, and some autistic people use like 30, 50, crazy numbers. And that's why they're so, I guess you could say some of them are what?
Socially awkward.
Yeah, they're socially awkward, and they're very, very brilliant. So, be careful what knowledge is power. Be careful what you say about people that are autistic, because they're probably smarter than you are. So anyway, I don't know why I got started on that. I got a friend of mine, and he's autistic. I think is it called Asperger's? Asperger's, yeah. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know what his potential. I don't know what his IQ is, and I don't know what his potential is. But the guy is just very, very smart, and I don't know where he's going to go. I don't know if he's going to end up in a ditch or going to end up, but he's very, very smart. I'd hate to see what his IQ is, but socially awkward. And for some people, social is all you've got. But anyway, we're gonna go to stat and edit, and there is your spreadsheet. And hopefully y'all know how to type in numbers on a spreadsheet. So we're gonna type in. I'm gonna type them in as he is. 282. I hate using a mouse. 268. 258, 264, 255, 261. Please make sure I'm typing them in right. And 267. Now this is only 7 numbers, not a big deal. But you see some of the homework has like 50 numbers. I'm going to use StatCrunch, or I'm going to use the Excel spreadsheet. All right, now what do? Well, the first thing you got to do is put them in order. So you hit Stat, and you see that sort A. What do you think the A stands for? Ascending. Thank you for pronouncing the first syllable and mumbling the last 2. Why do y'all do that? Students in general. They'll start out with the first syllable, and then yeah, you got the A part right. So sort A, and then where is your L1s and L2s? Look above your 1, 2, 3, and so on. There's your, so you hit second, and then L1, that says I'm going to use my first column, and close parenthesis, and enter. And you're done. So now go back to Stat, Edit, and they're in order. Now what do you do? Well, now you hit Stat, Calculate, First Variable Statistic. It will default to L1, and all you have to do is hit what? Calculate, and there are your numbers. You are interested in the following: X bar and SX. Now you can associate SX to any words you want to. I can't tell you which one but I usually say, remember this word, and somebody got offended, so I can't talk about your gender. So anyway, SX is the one, that's the standard deviation. Now if I wanted the variance, I would take 8.83 and raise it to the second power. Okay? Now, what else? Down here, you got your 5-number summary. If you don't have it, then I'll tell you how to get it on your calculator. Unless you have an OA. If you have an OA calculator, That's old attitude. If you have an OA calculator, I don't know if it's going to help. But you go to second catalog, which is 0, and you go down to D, the D's. You can type in D if you want to, but I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to go down till you get to diagnostic. Diagnostic on basically means I want to turn on everything I can see when I get an answer. That's what it means. I want to put everything on the screen that comes with the calculator. Hit diagnostic on, and boom. Now you can see whatever you want to see if your calculator will do it. So you go to stat, calculate, first variable statistic, and calculate. And now your calculator should show the 5-number summary. Okay, now what can we do? Well, we can do a box plot. Now I'm going to tell you right now, the box plot is not going to be that good, okay? But you can do it. How do you do it? Well, you hit second, y is equal, turn on the box plot, hit enter, make sure that the on is blinking, and then go to the second box plot. Why the second one? Because it includes the mean. I meant the median. And hit L1. It's not supposed to be asking for L2. I don't know why it's asking for Y list. It's just supposed to be there. And hit graph. Valid dimension. Why is it doing that? It's not supposed to be doing that. Let me go back again. Second. Let me shut up. Second box plot, enter. That's why I didn't hit enter with my, you got to hit enter. There we go. There we go. And now hit graph. Now you may not see it right off. So you basically just quit and go to the next problem. No, you hit zoom. And you're looking for zoom statistic. I don't know which number it is. Zoom stat, number 9. And there's your dang old box plot. Now, if you want to see what numbers are what, which you already calculated them, you should. What button do you hit? You hit trace. And now you can go to each point. But y'all already knew that because y'all on the calculator drill team, right? So hopefully I showed y'all something today, whether it was, whether it was with the Excel spreadsheet, or I showed you how to, first of all, I showed you how to do it by hand. You got that in your notebook. I showed you how to do it on the Excel spreadsheet. I showed you how to do it on statcrunch, and I showed you how to do it on your calculator. Will somebody get these wrong on the test? Yep. And you might see them on Live PD in Richland County. I'm sorry. They did have Live PD in Greenville, but you know why they quit? They quit because all they were meth heads, and they got tired of doing all meth heads. So that's why they quit in Greenville. Big metropolis, the meth head capital of the world. Yes.
This part is on the practice, correct? They have practice.
Yeah, but it's on your homework also. Yes, both. Mm-hmm. All right, let me go ahead and cut off the handy dandy recorder so I can make sure